things, so a lot of people know about it. Not people have toyed around with it. Not really sure like how to bring it, how to start using it, or even necessarily how to put it in production. There's kind of a learning curve. I think this year it's just blown out. Like there's a lot of great ways to put it in production and everything. So I think there's no better time to start learning it or start implementing it, take advantage of what it can really do. So what I'm hoping to show today is just to hopefully see like if you're thinking about building microservices, you can even, if you're building one service, an Express app, it still can be beneficial. But if you're going to be building lots of node microservices, Docker is perfectly suited for managing all your development environment, building all things, testing, making sure you have 10 or 20 services running that are all interweaving. Things can get a little hairy. So hopefully I'll just walk through. Feel free to interject or raise your hand for some questions. I got a couple demos that I'll run through, so please do stop me throughout the demo. So I'll just get started. All right, so what we're hoping to cover is what are microservices? You might hear it's a buzzword. A lot of people are probably talking about it. There's books about it. You see a lot these days, especially when it comes to Docker. Node is really great at, I think, building small microservices, single purpose, like little mini services that all connect with each other. It's great for using. So we'll also talk about how we manage all these microservices during dev. Then we're going to talk about what Docker is, how do we use it, what else can we do with it, and why use Docker over a different type of workflow. So without further ado, I'll get in and I'll say a little bit about me. I'm Dan. I've been a full stack engineer at Buffer for a long time, and just recently transitioned to the architect role. And what we're doing now currently is we have a big PHP monolith that we've been working on for 5 or 6 years or something, and it's connected to this monolithic database. And our engineering team has like grown 6 times the size. It's still not that gigantic, but it's quadrupled, and our workflows of all working on this one big application have kind of slowed us down. So we started experimenting with different Node apps, and Node is fantastic. If you're here, I'm sure that you think that too. So we started trying to break out our pieces of our application to different services, create a service-oriented architecture. So all like mini single-purpose Node apps that are all communicating and working together to provide a cohesive experience. So we're starting that. So about a year and a half ago, we started getting into Docker and started figuring out how to, change over and see if this is the way that we'd be able to help start splitting a monolith up. So if you want to hit me up after, TJ Farrelly on Twitter, GitHub, Dan Farrelly on NYC. Talk to me after. So what are microservices? They're basically, like I said, tiny little independently deployable applications that are all going to work together. You might have a service that's going to run and send emails. You might have something that is an API. You might have something that is, just take care of authentication internally. You might have any number. Think about any library that's in a big, huge application, and it could just be a single-purpose application that's running, and you're communicating with it over something like REST or a message queue, anything like that. So that's basically what microservices are, tiny little bits of your application. The examples, we got like, you're building an Express app, maybe you have something that's, resizing images, and someone uploads an image and you can't store that forever. So, it grabs whatever's on S3, on Amazon, and it just processes and just churns through all like your uploaded image gems. So you're using something, a little Node library or something to do that, or Node wrapper. So I mean that's I think what really in a small picture of what they are. But it's still a generic term, so it can mean anything really. So you might have, if you're running a big Node team, and you might have different teams working on different applications. So you might have something like, your Express app is running, full Node version 4 because it's long-term solution. But so you can, they might be running 4.4.6. They might not get to upgrade up to 4.6 yet. I think that's the latest. Your billing team might have all the processing credit cards, might be doing certain things, sending out invoices. They might be a little bit ahead. They might be at 4.6. Your email team might be a new application, this email service that's firing off emails based on what users do. They might be running Node 6.7. So, taking advantage of all the new, like, ES 2015 stuff. So, and then you might have some auth service that no one really wants to touch because it's still running 0.10. Like we all have stuff like that where you're just like, I just don't want to touch this application. It works. We wrote our custom thing back in 0.10, and like, if we upgrade to, we didn't want to upgrade to 12 and the IO.js like split. Now we just don't want to upgrade. So it's going to sit there. So it's kind of something you don't want to touch, and maybe someone will upgrade it eventually, but right now, like, it just needs to run. Then you might have an image service running, 4.4.6, the web app team created that too. So it's just a small thing, 5 services, but you're, jumping through different versions. You might have 5 people on each team. I don't know what your structure is, but you might have 10 times as many of these. So it kind of gets a little challenging when you want to build a development environment that you're using, switching between all these things, which brings me to the next thing. How do we manage all these versions of Node? I'm sure lots of you, if you're running Linux or OS X, you're using NVM. Some might use it. And I don't use Windows. Some people on your team might use Windows. They might use NVM Windows or Notice. Maybe there's other solutions out there. How do you start up all your services? Like you might be manually, say, just starting them up, opening up a new terminal window, kind of manual flow. You might be using something like PM2 and managing lots of different services, and you're able to keep them running and watching file changes. Bash scripts work, teamups, spinning up all sorts of windows. But then also you have in your development environment maybe some databases, some non-node stuff. So you might have Redis or Mongo database or MySQL. It's like, are you running MongoD or running your command to Redis server to start up, your Redis and connecting everything running on your local host or your machine? There's nothing wrong with that. That's how often everything starts off. But I think when you get bigger and the billing team needs a SQL database, and your authentication has its own database, your web needs to hold sessions, they have Redis, and then there's your APIs based on Mongo. Like stuff like that happens. Like it may not seem ideal, but I can tell you that like from what we have at Buffer, like it does happen. We have lots of different things that we have. So how are we gonna also debug one of these services? If we're running something, there's always there can be limitations of like, oh, I gotta check this log for this. I gotta tell this log is here. I have to, jump between all the different things. How do I restart this or something, or see why it crashed? So, you kind of get worried. You're like, what the hell's going on? I don't know if anybody's a fan of Point Break. This is John Utah right here. He's just like really distraught. Just like doesn't want to deal with this stuff. So, there's solutions. What if we can do something about this? What if we can kind of alleviate this? What's something to help us with all these things? We got Docker. Johnny Utah's like really pumped. And he's, maybe he's heard about this thing. Like a lot of you guys, maybe he's spun it up and done some building images locally or doing some stuff, but then but he's not really sure where to go here. It's kind of like if you're a Point Break fan, he knows of this case and he's catch the dead president, but he doesn't know, how to get started. So I'm going to be your Gary Busey, basically, and I'm gonna help guide you and try to, give you my theory. So what is Docker? Some people might know Docker's a tool to create containerized applications. What does containerized application means? This is right off their website because it's kind of abstract. So I figured they were probably the best people to define it. Docker containers are a piece of software in a complete file system that contains everything you need to run: code, runtime, system tools, system libraries, anything that can be installed on a server. This guarantees that the software will always run the same regardless of its environment. So that sounds great. It sounds, if things are clicking from a couple slides back, we're hopefully these can start, these are things that can help some of those issues. So what's a container? Do we have any questions? Are we good? All right, so what's a container? So containers just gonna wrap all your code. It's gonna be like a process. Think of it almost like if you don't know about containers, haven't used them before, think about it just like, it'd be like a virtual machine, like, you're virtualizing a Ubuntu box on your Mac or PC or something, and everything's contained inside there. You're communicating it, you're SSHing into it or something like that, or you're opening up ports, so you're running your web server in there. So it's kind of like that, but it's a little bit lighter weight, and but it's all virtualization basically, and it all runs on the Linux kernel. So every Docker container starts with Linux kernel and builds from there, and they all change from there. So what a container exists of is these, basically like an image, like an image of an operating system, like Debian, or Ubuntu, or Alpine Linux, or Fedora. It could be any type, flavor of Linux that you have, and then you can add on other layers on top of that to build your image. So for what we're talking about, your thing is going to be Node and NPM. You're going to need that to run your application. So we want, we have that, and then we want to put our application code on top of that, and we want to just have Node run that in this environment, and that's just all we need in a container. So anybody have any questions on that? Sometimes it's a weird concept. But all right, so that's basically what a container is. What does this look like then? If we just had to take three containers right here running different versions of Node, each image based on the same architecture, Debian, and has a different version of Node, and you might have different application code in each container. So this is like running different processes, spinning up using NVM, say NVM use 4.4.6, then run nodemon or Node and your Express app, and then doing the same thing for the Express API, and then maybe you have another worker that needs to run also. So it's kind of, think of it like that. That's what you would do without Docker. So you have these three things running, and this is what it could look. So basically, what on your host machine? Yeah, sure.
So could this be Dockerization? This could be kind of like Kang's feature. It's got a Python thing and a Node thing. That could be like Docker Rocky. Right?
Yeah, and actually, I'll show that in a bit. He has a nice Docker file that I'll show at the end of this. So there's we'll get back to that. So with this, you can install any dependencies. So at a minimum, we're really just going to run Node. You might need some other binary in there, or you might run something where it's a hybrid application that you need to, have some other dependencies, apt-get some things or something like that. So, so what we're really going to do when we're running development is we're going to just take our code that's on, in our host machine, say our Mac, and we want to just like kind of mount that inside the container, which Docker does via volumes. It has very simple, easy way to just say, I want this directory inside this container here, and just on the 4.4.6, so just put this in there. So that allows us to kind of take any directory anywhere and run it, PC or Linux. We're going to be all running it on the Linux kernel. So if you have whatever teammates that you have, you're not going to be worrying about it. It's all going to be running Node inside this on top of Debian. So everyone's going to have the same environment regardless of who's on your team. So that's the kind of what we're going to want to do during development. To do this is just an example of command that hopefully everyone can see. We're mounting that directory, projects web, inside the container in the app directory, say. We also have, we're going to map ports, we're going to be running a web server. So say we're running 8080 inside the container, we want to map it outside our machine on our Mac to 8080. So that's, we're going to want to run some on localhost 8080. So with the container, everything is secure inside it. If you don't expose the port, it won't be seen. You won't be able to access it. So if you don't need to expose a port, if it's just a worker that's communicating via message queues, taking something out, uploading, putting something back into a message queue, you won't need to expose any port if you don't need to. You can expose as many ports you want. You can map them to different things. It's pretty sweet. So, and then you basically tell it, like, what is my image? What was that base image that we want to run? So we have something that's just Node 6.8, like, came out, what, yesterday? So why not use it? We got Node 6.8, we got our image, and then we tell it what command we want to run inside the container. So we're just saying node or app is in app directory, and we just say, just run our application. So that's basically what creating and running a Docker container is in that one step. Any questions?
So assuming your startup is something that has to be, let's say, you know, give us all MySQL and goes on forever, et cetera, so can you get a starter, or can you set NodeMon to be that, or?
Yeah, so you can run, because your code is in the container, you can run whatever you want in there.
How do you get a global install stuff, NPM globals?
We'll get to that. That's coming up. Good question.
Down there.
So the, oh yeah. So you can do both. For this example, we can run npm install outside the container. There gets to be some trickiness that we can talk on later. But we'll just, because in our project directory, we're going to mount our entire project, including the node modules folder, like right inside the container. So it'll bring all those devs.
So do you then SSH into your container?
No, you can go into the container, but in the Docker world, usually it's advised to not SSH. You can do something called Docker attach, but the beauty of running Docker containers is you can only really run one command, one process. So of course you can run something that runs multiple commands, but they're